Tonight, tragedy on regional roads. A 44-year-old Far West motorcyclist killed in a crash near Wilcannia. And doing the Spencer Golf proud, the Whyalla local to return home from Birmingham with a gold medal around his neck.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. There's been a horror end to a Sunday afternoon ride along the dirt tracks of Far West New South Wales after a 44-year-old man sadly passed away after the motorcycle he was riding collided with a car. Emergency services were called to the scene near Lake Woichuga, south of Wilcannia, around 4:30, where a crime scene was set up. A short time later, officers from the Barrier Police District arrested a 24-year-old man at his home on Reed Street, but he's since been released pending further inquiries. The rider was attended to at the scene and taken to Wilcannia Hospital for treatment, where he later died. A report is being prepared for the coroner as the investigation continues. Last year, Whyalla's Annie Lockwood Court was closed and Port Augusta's Edenfield Care Facility was found to be failing various industry standards, highlighting the growing problems within our region's aged care system. Now, with the return of Parliament, the aged care sector remains a top priority for South Australian senators in Canberra.
Senator Karen Grogan says the first sitting week of Parliament has been a productive start to bring about change in local aged care facilities.
Been able to introduce the first of our aged care bills.
The push for change comes after Spencer Golf aged care facilities were rocked by multiple controversies last year, including a shortage of aged care beds in Whyalla and a Port Augusta facility being found non-compliant with industry standards.
In Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Pirie doing forums around health.
The senator says while touring the region, the thing that was brought up most by locals was the ongoing challenges people are facing in residential aged care services. She says the new bill directly targets areas that residents said could be improved.
Things like some transparency around what aged care facilities are spending.
The government aiming for more clarity around how aged care facilities are using their funding to ensure the residents receive the right amount of food, care and social interaction from staff.
Legislating for 24/7 nurses on site in every residential care facility across the country.
Senator Grogan says improvements to the aged care sector will also reduce stress on workers who currently feel overworked and unable to provide the right amount of care. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Some extremely disappointing and shocking news out of the York Mid-North region over the weekend, with 5 drivers allegedly caught doing the wrong thing on regional roads. The most outstanding offence was a 36-year-old P-plater in Moonta, who police say drove through a stop sign at speed before being pulled over and subjected to a random breath test. Allegedly, it came back positive, close to 4 times the legal limit. Her car was impounded for a month and she's lost her licence for a year. Other offences from the weekend included 2 drivers allegedly testing positive to methamphetamine while behind the wheel, while 2 others were driving while under the influence of alcohol, whilst their licence was either suspended or disqualified. Local Land Services New South Wales is ready to connect with farmers in the Far West to be prepared for foot and mouth as well as lumpy skin disease. Though neither of the diseases has reached our shores, they still pose a very real threat to the livestock industry.
Helping prepare farmers for the worst, Local Land Services is developing a comprehensive plan for landholders, if it comes to it.
Local Land Services is prepared to obviously extend our involvement with landholders to further inform and reassure them.
Farmers are concerned, especially with how the disease has affected livestock overseas. If the diseases were to reach our shores, the impacts would be potentially catastrophic. Veterinarian Z Yi Kim says we need to be prepared.
It is also important to note that because we do not currently have these diseases within the country, we are in a position where we can do a lot of preparatory work.
The vets who work with local land services cover a vast area, and there are only 3 of them. One is based in Baronga, the other is Ivanhoe based, while the other looks after Broken Hill. They're few and far between, but they cover 40% of New South Wales.
It's larger than Victoria and Tasmania combined, but despite its size, it's also the least densely populated region as well in our state.
Both foot and mouth and lumpy skin disease pose a huge threat to Australian agriculture. The financial ramifications are in the billions, not to mention the sheer amount of livestock that would have to be put down. Foot and mouth affects all livestock that is cloven hoofed, while lumpy skin only affects cattle and water buffalo.
That is not to say that it's any less worse for the animals it affects. Both diseases are certainly of concern.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Meantime, the Farming Forward program has launched across New South Wales, hoping to build resilience, sustainability and productivity within the industry. Minister for Agriculture Dougal Saunders says the program will focus on 3 flagship projects, focusing on planning and preparedness, enhanced soil health and best practice animal production. Local land services will be hosting workshops to prepare farmers for things like drought, as well as courses to boost technical knowledge and practical skills in livestock production. The program will also include soil intelligent testing, which explores the nutrient requirements of soil and what is needed to optimise pasture and crop growth. The Farming Forward program will run for either 1 or 2 years. A Whyalla local won big at the Birmingham Commonwealth Games. Lee Hoffman, an Australian track cyclist who originally hails from the Steel City, has secured a gold medal in the team sprint on day 1. Along with Matthew Gleitster and Matthew Richardson, the team has set a new Commonwealth Games Federation record and a new Australian team sprint record. Attending Whyalla's Samaritan College as a teenager, the now 22-year-old resides in Adelaide, where he trains at the South Australian Sports Institute. Well done, Lee. You've done the Spencer Gulf proud. Still to come tonight, Spencer Gulf scammers. SAPOL issues a warning to stay alert online. And meet the stallholders taking part in the Eyre Peninsula Field Days, showcasing agricultural innovations in Cleve. Welcome back. Police across the state and here in the Spencer Gulf are urging residents to be diligent when online shopping after an increase in reports of scams. Online scams result in millions of dollars lost every year from unsuspecting victims, as scammers are constantly changing their methods to exploit online shoppers. These types of scams can occur when the victim is purchasing items at a low price through an online marketplace. Now, SAPOL is reminding people to be vigilant and to make payments through reputable companies that are protected by Australian law. For more information, you can visit SAPOL's website. The Port Pirie Council's draft Strategic Asset Management Plan for the next 10 years is now open for the public. The council releasing the document for community consultation to get as much public feedback on how they should manage its assets throughout the region. Council owns and manages the Port Pirie Aerodrome, Community Waste Management Scheme, buildings, cemeteries, and marine and waste management assets. The new strategy will be implemented to ensure that assets are planned, operated and maintained in accordance with Council's priorities. The consultation period closes at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, August 24. EP Field Days is back for another year and it will be taking over Cleve. Here, businesses from across the region will gather to showcase their products. A range of displays, guest speakers, demonstrations and performances will also be taking place, with something for everyone.
It's one of the Eyre Peninsula's biggest draw cards. Next week, businesses will rally together for Cleve's EP Fields Day, where they can showcase their products. The Taste of EP tent also making its return.
So we have 10 businesses that are coming into the tent this year, plus we've got about 8 businesses going in behind the bar. We have lots of food. We've got Workshop 26 coming up with some EP crafters.
Sally and the team at Our Camellia currently have 60 local businesses promoted through their store and are looking to bring them to the Taste of EP tent.
Each stallholder will have their own little section set up. We'll have a bar function area where you can come in, enjoy a local wine, beer or gin and tonic. There'll be 5 food stalls where you can come in and have something to eat.
The tent offering up more than just food and drinks.
Tony from Boston Bay Wines will come and break down a kingfish and do a little bit of a demo and a comedy routine. He's quite funny, so we're looking forward to that. So each day we're hoping to have a little event in the middle of the tent.
The Taste of EP will be hosting new and exciting businesses along with some familiar faces.
I think most of the ones that are coming this year are quite new. Rogan Rascals have been there before. Cow Area School always do oysters and they help promote their hospitality section of their school.
EP Fields Day will run from the 9th of August until the 11th. Tickets can now be booked online. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Why a New South Wales minister who hosted a function in the Far West earlier this year has been sacked. And green thumbs all round. Locals flock to the Arid Land Botanic Gardens in Port Augusta for National Tree Day. Welcome back. Miranda MP Eleni Patinos has been relieved of her duties as Minister for Small Business and Fair Trading. Ms Patinos is alleged to have bullied a male advisor, calling him degrading names after making minor mistakes. In light of the bullying allegations, New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet announced he had met with Patinos, later releasing a statement. In a separate statement, Patinos says she would never intentionally offend or make someone feel uncomfortable. The former minister was the guest speaker for Business Far West launch back in March, and she will continue as a member for Miranda. The Rural Doctors Association of Australia has raised concerns with the state of job applications for rural medicine. Recent changes to priority area definition is seeing some doctors now no longer required to work in rural and remote communities. President of the association, Dr. Megan Bellow, says the regions are already desperately short of regional doctors. The distribution priority area expansion will pull the rug out from under many rural medical practices. The RDAA has called for urgent measures to address the situation and will hold talks with the government in coming weeks. Port Augusta residents flocked to the Arid Lands Botanic Gardens at the weekend to help plant natives. The volunteers' hard work earning them 2 green thumbs up from the local community.
The Australian Arid Lands Botanic Gardens has held a public planting session to celebrate National Tree Day. Volunteers getting their hands dirty to revegetate a large parcel of land directly inside the garden's main gates.
We've planned to plant at least about 207 plants today, and it's a great chance for the locals to get involved within the community.
Oh, it's been wonderful. It's such a nice thing to do. Support the local garden. It's a wonderful place to be.
Planet Ark launched National Tree Day back in 1996. Since then, 26 million trees have been planted nationwide. Port Augusta groups continuing to get behind the event as it also serves as a way to educate the community.
So far we've had the Scouts group come in today. They're a group of about 17. We've had quite a lot of young families as well.
Brings the community together. I think as a community as well, and from Toyota, that we show that we're here to support the environment for future zero carbon emissions.
Little hands working throughout the day and admiring the hardy trees of the Australian bush.
Quite a range of different species going in as well, right from trees right down to small shrubs.
When all the hard work was done, volunteers were also treated to a scenic tour of the Botanic Gardens.
Days like today give people a chance to get into the environment, something to contribute to the community, and it's also something that they can watch for years to come.
It's great coming back to the garden and seeing the plants that we planted 3, 4, 5 years ago and seeing them growing. So what we've done back then is really starting to show in the garden well.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break, getting down to the pointy end of the football season. A few thrashings in the local leagues. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. We're getting to the business end of the local footy season, and the favourites are really starting to flex their muscles. But premierships aren't won in July or August, and they have to be there on Grand Final Day. Joshua Mercer has this week's footy wrap.
North Broken Hill have moved into second place on the ladder with a convincing win over West by 61 points. It was Old Timers weekend for North, and they had a special guest playing, former Brisbane and Port Adelaide star Tom Rockcliffe. Playing up forward, Rockcliffe was able to kick 3 goals in the big win. Shane Dalby kicked 5, while Jaden Kelly bagged 3. In the other game, South showed why they're the team to beat once again, thrashing Central by 134 points. Cody Shawn had an absolute day out at Alma Oval, kicking 10 goals. Bryce Langdon and Todd Davidson also contributing to the win with 3 goals each. Heading across the border and in the Port Lincoln Football League, Lincoln South beat Waybacks 80-50. Lincoln South kicking 5 goals in the last quarter, while Wayback were unable to kick any. Top of the table Marble Range solidified themselves as the favourites, beating Boston 23-13-151 to just 2-5-17. The Tigers languishing at the bottom of the table without a win. In the other game, Tasman Roosters showed it's a 2-horse race in the league, beating Mallee Park 157 to just 18. Looking at the Whyalla Football League now, and Waroona Bay were far too strong for South Whyalla, winning by 80 points. The win sees Waroona Bay move into second on the ladder, and South Whyalla yet to win a game this season. West Whyalla edged past ladder leaders Central Whyalla by 1 point, 52-51. And Rapina were able to keep North Whyalla goalless, defeating them 7-16-58 to 0-3-3. Finally, looking at the Spencer Gulf League now, Port had a win over West Augusta at Central Oval, 82-73 at full time. Like teams in the other leagues, West Augusta is yet to win a game after 13 rounds. Central Augusta had a win over top team Proprietary Risdon, 7-7-49 to 3-12-30. Accuracy proving to be Proprietary Risdon's downfall. And in the final game, South Augusta ruined Solomon Town's chance of being outright ladder leaders, beating them by 1 point, 59-58. That does it for this week's footy wrap. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the rest of the region's sports scores.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, we've just ticked over into August, which means there's just 4 more weeks of winter.
That's right, Maddie. And while it's not too cold, it is rather wet and windy, with just about the entire Spencer Gulf region set to experience some rain this week. More on that in just a moment. Looking at some of today's temperatures, 19 in Port Augusta, Kadina reached 15 degrees, 20 was the top in Cooper Pedy. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, Broken Hill and Port Lincoln both reached 16 today, 17 in Woodner and Port Pirie, 19 degrees in Whyalla. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high pressure system centred over the northeast of South Australia will move eastwards overnight. A broad area of low pressure will develop to the south of Australia early this week and then move slowly eastwards. A series of cold fronts will move over South Australia during the week to the north of the low and will result in windy conditions at times. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. North to northwesterly winds up to 35 knots, seas between 1 and 3 metres, and south to southwesterly swell up to 1.5 metres. Showers and windy in Port Lincoln between 6 and 16 degrees, very windy in Cleve, set to reach a top of 15 degrees there. Woodner will be windy as well, and 18. Between 5 and 18 degrees in Whyalla. Rainy conditions are expected, becoming windy in Port Augusta and 19 degrees and showers. Similar conditions in Kadina, 16 degrees. Showers developing around Port Pirie, set to reach a top of 19 there. Bit cooler in Clare, 15 degrees, and possible showers in Broken Hill, 19. Taking a look further through the week now, it really will be warm on Wednesday. 28 degrees in Cooper Pedy, 26 in Port Augusta and Broken Hill, windy in Whyalla and 24. Possible showers around Port Pirie and 23 degrees. Moving on to Thursday's forecast now, a bit of everything depending where you look. Rain down the right-hand side of our map, 23 in Broken Hill, 17 in Kadina. Sunshine on the way for Whyalla, 21 degrees. Windy weather up in Cooper Pedy, 23 degrees. And finally, Friday's forecast, and the map is looking a bit rainier than the day before. Whyalla's in for a mostly sunny morning before the heavens open up in the afternoon, 18 degrees. A medium chance of showers around Port Augusta, 19. 15 degrees in Port Lincoln and Kadina. So we'll definitely be needing the umbrella this week, Mads, in parts, and that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday. I'm Madeline Kerr. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.